greatest danger to our spiritual and moral integrity often doesn't come in the form of overt evil or malicious intent. It comes in the slow, quiet erosion of our purpose. Many well-meaning individuals, those with noble intentions and kind hearts, gradually lose their vitality, not through dramatic failures, but through subtle distractions and passive living. When we stop consciously nurturing our inner growth, we drift into a life of mediocrity, losing touch with our highest potential. The decline is often so gradual that we don't realize it's happening until we wake up one day, wondering how we ended up so far from where we wanted to be. This silent collapse is most often the result of passivity. Like a ship left unanchored, the forces of life slowly carry us away from our intended course. The majority of people don't set out to live lives of stagnation. They fall into them by failing to actively engage with their own spiritual and mental well-being. As philosopher John Stuart Mill once warned, evil triumphs not because of the actions of the wicked, but because of the inaction of the good. And while many think of this in terms of societal wrongs, it's equally true in the personal realm. A life lived on autopilot, where comfort and routine replace purpose and reflection, is fertile ground for spiritual decay. But there is hope. The antidote to this slow decline is the conscious choice to live intentionally. This means moving beyond the distractions of the day-to-day, resisting the lure of comfort and practicality, and actively cultivating a deeper connection with our inner purpose. By aligning with higher values and taking deliberate action, we can reclaim our lives from mediocrity, awakening to a new path of growth, fulfillment, and spiritual vitality. The question is not whether we have the potential to lead extraordinary lives, but whether we are willing to make the choices that allow us to realize that potential. Many believe that as long as they live with good intentions, their lives will naturally flourish, but this is a dangerous assumption. The truth is that even the most well-meaning individuals can gradually slip into spiritual stagnation if they are not actively cultivating their inner growth. Life, by its very nature, demands that we evolve. Yet, when we stop consciously nurturing our deeper purpose, we become susceptible to the slow erosion of our passion and vibrancy. This decline is subtle, often unnoticed, until one day we realize we've drifted far from the path of true fulfillment. Dr. Wayne Dyer, in his reflections on the power of intention, warns us that living without conscious alignment to a higher purpose leads to a slow but certain depletion of the soul. We may find ourselves caught up in routines, obligations, and superficial goals, losing sight of the deeper spiritual essence that once drove us. As the years pass, the spark of inner purpose fades, and we find ourselves living a life of mere survival, where ambition is replaced with complacency. What begins as a simple compromise with comfort can lead to a life of quiet desperation, where the soul's true desires are no longer heard or acknowledged. The decline of the spirit doesn't happen because we intend to fail, but because we fail to intend. It's not enough to be passive and hope for the best. We must actively engage with our inner life and pursue alignment with the deeper currents of meaning that guide us. Without this intention, we leave ourselves vulnerable to the numbing effects of a routine-driven life, where growth and evolution are sacrificed for comfort and familiarity. The danger here is not just the loss of ambition, but the loss of our connection to the vibrant spiritual energy that makes life rich and purposeful. One of the most insidious dangers in life is not that people commit outright wrongdoing, but that they become passive bystanders to their own decline. Most of life's tragedies, both personal and societal, happen not because a large majority actively participates in evil, but because they remain silent, disengaged, and indifferent. This passivity, this quiet surrender to the status quo, leads individuals to live lives far below their potential. They become spectators of their own existence, watching as their dreams, ambitions, and deeper values slowly slip away. As Joseph Murphy highlights in The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, the beliefs we passively accept shape the reality we experience. Many people simply follow the scripts laid out for them by society, their families, or their past experiences, never questioning if these paths truly align with their highest potential. This passive acceptance leads to a life lived in fear of change or growth, where the comfort of routine is chosen over the risk of pursuing something greater. Instead of being the authors of their own lives, they become passive participants, allowing the currents of external forces to dictate their choices and directions. The greatest loss, however, isn't in the missed opportunities or unrealized dreams, but in the slow fading of the soul's light. Passivity erodes the very core of what it means to be alive, our ability to create, to take risks, and to evolve. By standing still, we not only allow life to pass us by, but we also lose our connection to our inner purpose. This is how the majority, despite their good intentions, become complicit in their own stagnation. To reclaim our lives, we must reject passivity and instead embrace the active pursuit of our inner calling, understanding that to be silent in the face of mediocrity is to enable our own spiritual downfall. One of the most dangerous traps in life is the deceptive allure of common sense and comfort. While these qualities may seem like virtues, they often mask a deeper stagnation, pulling individuals away from their highest potential. Common sense encourages practicality, safety, and predictability, but it rarely urges us to step into the unknown or pursue the extraordinary. Over time, we become so tethered to this sense of comfort and practicality that we lose sight of the boldness required for real growth and transformation. What feels like reasonable living can, in fact, become a prison for the soul, locking us into patterns of mediocrity. Tolstoy observed that while most people know right from wrong, few take the time to deeply reflect on their lives and their choices. This reliance on superficial morality, on instinctive common sense decisions, prevents individuals from accessing deeper wisdom and making bold, life-altering choices. Dr. Joe Dispenza's work in Becoming Supernatural shows how these subconscious patterns keep people stuck in their past. Rather than imagining new possibilities, people replay the same mental movies, choosing paths that feel familiar and safe, but ultimately prevent them from stepping into new realities. In doing so, they avoid risk, but also miss out on the profound transformation that comes from pursuing the unknown. This deception is subtle. People don't often realize that the comfort they seek is not merely physical or material, but spiritual as well. The soul is lulled into a false sense of security, satisfied with routine and predictability, while the deeper call for meaning, creativity, and purpose is drowned out. The greatest danger of common sense is that it makes living without intention feel acceptable. In prioritizing what is practical, we sideline what is meaningful, and in the end, we pay the price with lives that feel hollow, even if outwardly successful. To break free, we must challenge this deception and embrace the discomfort of spiritual growth, which often lies just beyond the bounds of common sense. Spiritual decline often doesn't occur through a dramatic rejection of one's values, but through a gradual process of distraction and neglect. Like in the Screwtape Letters, where C.S. Lewis depicts demons leading humans astray by making moral concerns seem irrelevant, modern life offers endless diversions that subtly steer us away from our inner purpose. We become spiritually passive, allowing the spark of our higher calling to dim as we prioritize the mundane over the meaningful. This is how the soul's fire, once vibrant and alive, slowly fades, leaving behind a life that feels disconnected and empty. Gabrielle Bernstein, in The Universe Has Your Back, speaks about the power of fear and distraction to erode even the most deeply held spiritual intentions. It's not that people stop believing in higher values or lose their desire for growth. They simply become too distracted or too overwhelmed by everyday demands to nurture their spiritual lives. The demons of today aren't mythical figures. They are the constant stream of information, stress, and material concerns that dominate our attention. Over time, these distractions dull our sensitivity to the deeper truths within us, making spiritual growth seem impractical or irrelevant. This spiritual passivity is more dangerous than overt rebellion because it goes unnoticed. It feels comfortable, safe, and justified by the pressures of modern life. We tell ourselves that we'll reconnect with our purpose when the timing is better, when things calm down, or when we've met our external obligations. But by the time we return to it, the fire has nearly gone out. To combat this slow fading, we must make a conscious effort to reignite our inner flame, regularly turning inward to align with our higher purpose and rejecting the distractions that quietly drain our spiritual vitality. It is only through deliberate, intentional effort that we can keep our inner fire alive and burning bright. As individuals move through life, one of the greatest threats to their spiritual and moral integrity is not the outright rejection of values, but the slow descent into moral apathy. This apathy creeps in not through malicious intent, but through endless distractions and external pressures that divert our attention from what truly matters. People often claim to hold strong principles and values, but over time, they become disconnected from them, not because they stop believing in them, but because they stop acting on them. This creates a subtle, unconscious form of moral nihilism, where values are intellectually acknowledged, but no longer embodied in daily life. Marianne Williamson, in The Law of Divine Compensation, highlights how fear and distraction keep us trapped in lower states of being. Many people become so preoccupied with the demands of the material world, work, money, social pressures, that they gradually lose their connection to the higher truths that once guided their lives. This is not a sudden abandonment of values, but a slow and steady drift away from them. What begins as a minor compromise, a missed opportunity to act with integrity, a decision made out of convenience rather than conviction, leads to a pattern of disengagement from one's moral and spiritual center. In this way, individuals can appear to live principled lives on the surface, but their actions no longer reflect their deeper values. The outcome is a life where individuals claim to have beliefs, but their actions show otherwise. This disconnect between values and behavior is one of the most dangerous forms of moral decay because it happens without conscious realization. It's not that people have forsaken their morals, they have simply been distracted from living them. To break free from this moral apathy, we must actively refocus our attention on aligning our actions with our highest principles. It requires a deliberate rejection of the distractions that pull us away from our values and a commitment to living in harmony with the truths we claim to hold dear. Only through conscious, consistent effort can we reconnect with our moral center and live lives of true integrity. The slow erosion of our inner fire, driven by passivity, distraction, and comfort, is a quiet but powerful force that can lead even the most well-meaning individuals away from their highest potential. To live a life of true purpose and fulfillment, we must awaken from this spiritual sleep and actively reclaim our connection to our deeper values. It requires the courage to reject the seductive pull of routine and mediocrity, to resist distractions, and to live intentionally. The power to transform our lives lies not in grand gestures, but in the small daily choices that align us with our true purpose and reignite the flame within.